Well, welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our Tiger Talk. My name is Lindsay Bray, and I'm the Senior Coordinator for Parent and Family Services here at the University of Memphis. So today we have Dr. Eddie Yancey, who is with us from the Educational Support Programs Office, to talk with you a little bit about how your student can prepare for their final exams and the resources that are available to them throughout the year to help your student be successful while they're here at the University of Memphis. So Dr. Yancey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and honor.
Great. So to get us started a little bit, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and about the office and what it has to offer students?
Yes, I'm Dr. Yancey. I've been teaching here at the University of Memphis for approximately 15 years. I'm the learning specialist here at the University of Memphis, where I've been the learning specialist for about 6 or 7 years. I've been teaching online for about the same 15 years and been teaching altogether for about 25 years. As I noted, in the ESP, which is how we refer to the Educational Support Program, we offer so many services in order to help scholars get better in their subjects and any of the courses. We offer through supplementary instruction, which I will go over later. And in any capacity in which the scholar may be not necessarily always struggling, but might want to get better or improve their work. So that is really the crux of our teaching and our assistance and our services, is to help the student improve and get better. We have services like tutoring. We have specific courses that we tutor in. We have writing skills workshops. We have other avenues in which we can help students on their assignments. Now, we can't do their assignments. Obviously, we don't do that, but we can help them with great study skills and habits and strategies, time management. We help them conquer test anxieties. We offer individual grouping. We offer one-on-one tutoring, and we offer weekly workshops at least 4 times a week.
That is really fantastic for our students. So can you tell us a little bit about, are all of these services available fully to our students? Or are there any restrictions?
Absolutely. Undergraduate and graduate students can take advantage of our services. We're basically 24/7 types of services, especially since the virtual learning has taken place and has gone, off the scale. So we've been busy all semester, as well as at the end of last semester. And these services, again, they are available to the students, as well as being no additional charge for these services, basically free for these instructions.
So how, and I know our parents particularly appreciate that that's no extra charge for our students to get that extra help that they might need. Mm-hmm. So how would a student, if they need a little bit of extra help, go about signing up for a tutoring appointment or finding what might be good and helpful for them?
Well, again, as I said, our services are available on our website, and that is tutoring at ESP. Tutoring at ESP, and you will see that noted. And this is one way of getting in touch with us. Of course, we have our services off our service line, which is our office line. But now we actually have someone to answer those calls, since we are not in the building at this point. We are all online, and that is 901-678-2704. And the other way that you get to that is called U of M Virtual Learning Center. U of M Virtual Learning Center. And usually the students, not usually, but the students absolutely have access to these websites or links on their course shell, as well as their U of M course shell, the U of M shell that they have access to. So those are the ways in which they can get in touch. You can get in touch with the service, really basically for the students to get in touch with us.
And we will make sure and have that phone number and that information as well for in our notes for this session. So can you tell parents a little bit about what a typical appointment might look like if a student chooses to utilize your services, or are there just different options?
There are different options, but on the base of the tutoring opportunities is that we ask the student to set an appointment. However, our highest population are walk-in students. But now that we are online, you can at any point request a session with a tutor, or what we call peer educators. So if I refer to them, often I refer to them as PEs, and that is our peer educators. And those we use the term interchangeable with tutors, and they have a schedule that they can either get to you immediately, or you can have an appointment upon availability of that particular PE. So there's a, like I said, various ways in which you can get access to us, but we're usually available, especially during this time. We're usually available 24/7. However, somewhere in that range, you can try to get in touch with a tutor or a PE of your choice.
Great. And so during that appointment, if a student was a walk-in, would they just sit down with one of those peer educators and kind of work through a problem, or what does the student need to bring in order to best prepare for an appointment?
That was an excellent question. I'm sorry I didn't answer it the first time, but to specifically answer that in terms of each session, obviously it's different, but here are some core things. Number one, the student bring their material, their books for the most part. Second, make sure they have a syllabus with them when they come in. So they would come in, they would sit down, they introduce themselves as well as this tutor, and they would let the student know why they are there, in terms of if I'm there for assistance with learning strategies, if I'm there for a particular class, a test, getting prepared for an exam. I'm not understanding something. This is not clear to me. And the tutor will help clarify that particular information that the student is not understanding. And usually our tutors, which is so awesome about them, usually they have taken either that class or they've taken that professor. So that's the advantage in terms of the teacher, the PE knowing a little more about the subject as not just general, but a little more about the subject. And then of course we allow the student, the scholar, to do their own work, but we are there to aid them with strategies, with techniques, and the best type of skills that are needed to be successful in the classes.
That's great. So I think you mentioned this a little bit about those time management skills. I think you do some of that supplemental education or instruction sessions. What do those look like for students?
Oh, yes, those are workshops, seminars, one-on-ones, group settings, and each session could be a one or more. That's the caveat to it. One or more, especially like if we go with time management in those workshops, you would have someone like myself as a learning specialist, where I would go over the various techniques and skills needed, or not just skills, but the information needed for a student to be successful with time management. For example, one of the things we emphasize is what I call, as a learning specialist, get it out the way. Get it out the way. What does that mean? Basically, so you won't have to procrastinate, so you won't have to deal with it later. You want to go ahead and do it, and however it turn out, let it turn out the way that it is, and then seek like our type of services or some other assistant to carry you over. But one of the worst things a scholar can do is get behind. So we want students or scholars to stay on top of what the work encompasses. Because one of the things a lot of people don't recognize, the most difficult thing about college is when you get behind, as well as what we call test time. Now, those two are the most difficult times students have in terms of being in college. And so it's very important when it comes to time management, and we try to specify and emphasize how relevant it is to get that work in and move on.
I think that's a really great point of helping that student work through those processes and help them not to get behind and then manage their time as much as possible. I think that's a really great point. And I know many of our parents probably appreciate that and have struggled with that themselves sometimes. And so helping their own students with that and having those resources available is so important
Let
for
me
our
note right
students.
on that note. Let me just say, it once you get things out of the way, you have more time than you expect or more time than you think. You open up a window of opportunity to do so much more. So I just wanted to make that note in terms of time management.
That's so very true. Sometimes the dread is worse than actually doing it.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about what who those peer educators are that a student might work with, and how you prepare them to help students?
Oh, we have some awesome tutors or PEs. They are graduate students. They are students that I have yet in my in my 7 years of working here, I have yet to come across a student, one of our PEs, that was not an A student. Now, however, we do take students that have earned Bs, but I have yet to have that experience as far as a tutor that wasn't an A student. What I mean by that, that they did not get an A out of that particular class or that particular subject or that particular professor. So that's one of the criteria. Nothing less. That's our criteria. Nothing less than a B in that class or the subject. The second thing that's required is training, and we have several hours. I've been in training where there was 4 hours in one day in terms of training the PEs with certified information that will qualify them, not only just certify them, but qualify them to be an effective tutor at our university.
That's great to know. So how, if a student out there, are you still hiring, or how would they maybe help and become a peer educator?
Yes, we are always looking for top scholars. Always. We don't ever have enough top scholars. Usually, the thing that I guess eliminate students usually are their schedule, whether it's school or work. I mean, basically, we call that their availability in terms of being available for our need. See, and not just their need, but they have to be available for the need of the program. And so with the exception of that, the students are trained to, like I said earlier, are prepared for the tutoring part. So the only other thing that usually comes in the way is, and again, we have very few freshmen, but we don't exclude freshmen, but we recommend that you have at least 2 semesters under your belt before you become a tutor. However, we've had some outstanding freshmen in the past 6 or 7 years since I've been there that have gone on and become tutors. The other thing I want to say about our tutors is that we do have tutors that have been there with us from undergraduate all the way to their graduate degree as one of our tutors.
That's really great that you're rewarding those students who stick with you and do a good job for our other students out there as well. So since this semester is a little bit different for all of our students, and we're all kind of managing this remote learning for the most part for a lot of our students, how is your office helping students to help assist them with virtual exams, and what might be a little bit different for them this semester?
Excellent question. We call that the VLC, and many of you all might be familiar with that now. It's called a Virtual Learning Center, and through that Virtual Learning Center, you can do multiple things, such as making an appointment with your scholar can make an appointment with our office. They can find all the information that they need in terms of their individual situation. They can also communicate with the PE during this device we call the Virtual Learning Center. And it also tells you about the individual academic credentials, how long they've been teaching, what they teach, what they specialize in. They would also, in this virtual center, Learning Center receive what we call one-on-one or group tutoring online or virtually, as we are now saying. And we also have, as most people are familiar with now, our Upswing session. That's also on the Virtual Learning Center, as well as, and I do both, and I think all the other tutors will do so as well, and that is Zoom. So we have those two mediums right now, those two platforms. We have Upswing, which is the university system that we have for the ESP, and we also have the Zoom system in which we also provide tutoring for our students, or it's virtual.
Can you tell us a little bit about are there any real differences between Upswing and a Zoom session
Yes. Yes, the Zoom sessions, of course, they're almost the same. The only thing is that we have a better tracking system with the Upswing. It is directly connected with the assistants, the academic assistant throughout the entire campus. We have various departments that also use that same system, so you can navigate and use like different other sources. Like, well, here we have the Center for Writing, which we call the CWC. We have also the Department of Civil Engineering, the Department of Math, Science, and Graduate Assistance, Department of Sociology, of course, Educational Support Program, our ESP in Lambert, our HERP College of Engineering Tutoring Services, the History Educational Resource Center, the School of Music, the World of Language or World Languages. And of course, we have Upswing coaches, which is a little different from some of our other PEs. So we have a plethora of sources and mediums where students can get assistance in any capacity.
That's great to know that students really need to know what that Upswing platform is and how and all the resources that are there for them. So as students are preparing for their exams that are coming up very, very shortly for all of us, starting next week, what would you tell students is kind of the biggest thing they need to be aware of this semester that might be just a little bit different than previous semesters as they go into maybe a virtual exam?
Oh, that's one question that I've been thinking about. I've started teaching online again at the infancy stage about 15 years ago, when helping University of Memphis transition from just the classroom to the virtual learning complete course, which we call asynchronous as well as synchronous class, and I'll talk a little bit about that if you want me to. And that medium or platform basically allowed us to have what we call hybrid classes, where we would have some of the information online and some of the information in the classroom. So you have that opportunity. Then you have asynchronous, which is when the students just go on their own, they pass in the work, they do the work, just get it in, and it's totally up on your schedule. It's totally up to you. Then of course we have the synchronous, where the class would start at 8 o'clock and end at 9:40 or 9:40 to 10:10, whatever the time might be, the period in which is set, and you go on there at the same time with your other colleagues, as well as the instructor will be on there. And so those are the platforms, those are the things that are available as it relates to virtual. Now, here your question pertaining to exams. Let me first note that exams or virtual exams are I mean, they've been around for years. Standardized exams have been used. Again, I would say decades, because I remember not only the graduate exam, the GRE, and things like that, but also students who are homeschooled have been using this platform for a long time. So virtual exams are not as foreign as some people think, and virtual learning is not. Here's the thing: the biggest challenge is change. Most people have a hard time adjusting to change. So the question about what is different between online learning or online exam or online papers. It depends on the individual in terms of how they have adjusted to change. And like I said, some students are better than others. We have no sufficient empirical data as to whether or not the learning is different or anything like that. But we do know that some people are more comfortable than others when it comes to exam. Me, myself, in teaching online and in the classroom, I really think virtual learning is where it's going. I think it's going in terms of that because it could be an extreme advantage for the student to actually learn because they have everything in front of them. Everything is in front of them. That computer, they can relax. They don't have to be anxious. They don't have to be, just nerve-wracking in the class, teacher calling them. It's a lot of advantages to taking exams and having papers online. And I'll get to that when you ask the next question.
So great segue. So what are kind of some of your, what would you recommend as some of your best study tips for students in general, since, as you just said, virtual exams and papers and assignments are very similar to what we do in person as well.
Yeah. And again, it's the adjustment. I would say one of the things that have been a caveat for most students that have really, really been excited when they come to my workshops, okay, and get tutoring. The advantage, again, is that you have in front of you the computer at home. You have access to everything you need. The first tip that I usually give that have just gone viral, and that is to pay close attention to the learning outcomes or objective or goals on the syllabus. You study those objectives. The scholars study those objectives. I'm pretty much guaranteeing a successful outcome in learning. Not necessarily performance, but in learning, because the learning objective is the core of the entire class. It is the contract of the class. And no teacher, no professor deviates from those objectives. Everything will come back to those objectives. That is pretty much as guaranteed and that anybody can make. In fact, they can argue it. It is as clear as clear can get. And you can put me to test to it. Any parent, any student can put me to test to it. Those learning objectives are usually 3 to 8 things that their student, the scholar, will know upon the completion of this class. Upon the completion of this class, that's what that contract is. If I come to your house and you give me $500 to fix your stove, then when I leave, your stove should be fixed. And that's what the goals and objectives are. Study those learning objectives and goals. Guaranteed. Second thing, if you don't mind, your glossary. In the glossary are the most important words in the text. They're usually 5, maybe 20 pages compared to 100, 500, or even 1,000 pages. You study the glossary. If you don't have a glossary, you use what we call the definitions or terminologies, and you put them in your search engine on Google or whatever search engine you have, and use those to put those words, those most important words to that class in that search engine. Here's why I'm saying it's advantage online, because you are basically almost educating yourself what people are saying, right? Which is no problem, because if that is the case, by the time you get to the class, you will be 10 times, a scholar will be 10 times ahead of everybody else if that student studied the glossary. Okay. The last tip, if you don't mind me hurry up and give you these here. Yep. The last tip is phenomenal. The last tip would just, it amazes people that they really never thought about it. There's not a page in a book that can go off the subject. I don't care if you turn to page 20. I don't care if you turn to page 250. You can turn to page 305. It doesn't matter. Everything in that book, every page in that book is going to come back to the subject of the class. It doesn't even matter. It has absolutely, I gave a student the other day a test in this, and I said, let's say you're studying the human hand, okay? And all of a sudden on chapter 15, you all of a sudden have a chair as an object that appears in that book, a chair. Student thought about it, and they began to run off so many possibilities why that chair showed up in that book, on the book talking about the human hand. They even said some things I didn't even think of. when it came to how did that chair, the word chair, or the object chair show up in chapter 17 of a book that's talking about the human hand? And you all know the answer, how it showed up. So it's always a connection. Nothing in the book can disconnect from the topic of it. So those are my three most important, and those will live with you and go with you, whether a student is in college, whether a student in life, whether a student is like be a career college, like a student as myself, or whatever it might be. But I guarantee you, these are the things that are essential in being well prepared as an online student. Now, it also will help you when you're in classroom. So I'm going to stop talking so much and listen to the next question.
No, those are great tips. I think those are really, really wonderful tips that I think can really help anybody when they're learning, because even our parents are, we're all learning, even when we're not in a formal learning setting as well. So right now, this is some students struggle, and you mentioned a little bit about time management. What are kind of your biggest tips for time management right now, as students are balancing a lot with the end of the semester between prepping for exams, or if they have final papers, or anything that they've got, those last minute assignments that they've really got going?
My greatest thing, and I mean, I have to do it myself. And as you said earlier, it's amazing that this question is so relevant, because I don't think we know whether or not it's natural to procrastinate. I really don't know if it's something we just pick up culturally, or if it's actually a natural thing. I don't know. I don't know the answer to it, but we do it. But we also know that there is no advantage. I've tested this now, as far as my testing is concerned, that we have no advantage in being behind. We don't know. I don't know. None of my students were able to come up with anything. I haven't come up with anything. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen any published information. I haven't seen any research that what are the advantages of being behind. Now, do some people work better under pressure? I'll give you that. But what are the advantages of being behind? Now, if you talk about anything in life, being behind in work, being behind in driving, being behind in getting somewhere, being behind in class, being behind on work. We don't know. And I would welcome that challenge to anyone. And please drop me an email, put it in a chat. Tell me, because at this point, I have no idea. So why did I say that? It is so important that you try your best to stay on top. Here's what I mean. Get it out the way. I promise you, get it out the way. Get it out the way at your best comfortable moment. For example, my best comfortable moment is like 6 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning. That's when I can get it. I get it. And it extends my day. Then I'll have to procrastinate the rest of the day. Get it out the way. And here's one of my best tips. And I know this is the main question. The tip is, have a goal in terms of something like, I know you might not do this, but I would do this. I will not eat until I finish this. And then that's my reward, the eating. I will not go and play ball or basketball or work out or something like this until I finish this. Have that goal, set that, challenge yourself in that regard. I will not do something until this right here is done. You will be amazed at the amount of time you have basically gained. You gain time rather than lose time when you're ahead of time.
I think that's a really great point. I will admit that mine is reality TV.
So we have to cut you off from reality TV until you finish the chapter.
Exactly.
And I like how you put that, because you have to be realistic too, right? Don't sit up there and tell me you're not going to eat until you finish these 18 chapters, right? No, give yourself some workable goals, some winnable goals, okay, accomplishable goals as it relates to your work. And getting it out the way. I just can't stress any other. And again, each individual, okay, everybody's an individual, and they may have their own thing that works for them. But generally speaking, I think it would be very difficult. And no matter what capacity of work or life you are in, it'll be very difficult for you to argue against getting it out the way.
Yeah, I love those tips. Those are really great ones. I know that reminds me of the eat the frog tip. The one thing you don't want to do that day.
Is that the elephant thing? How do you eat an elephant?
Probably, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah. You
probably the
the
same thing.
frog. Hey, if you got the frog metaphor, let me know what it is. But I know the elephant one is how do you eat an elephant?
Yeah.
One bite at a time. Is that the one you're talking about?
I was talking the eat the frog is just that,
Uh-oh.
you do the one you're dreading the most every day. The one thing
Wow.
you don't want to do, you do it first, and then you got it
Oh,
out of the
yes.
way.
Yes. That's one of the things about when it comes to some people ask me if I have an exam or a paper due, which one would I do? I like that. That exactly was I would subscribe to what you just said. I didn't know it was called the frog metaphor. you know,
Well, so thank you so much for all of these great tips. Are there any other last ones as we kind of wrap up for today that you have that you really think our students and our parents really need to know to help them be successful this semester and while they're here at the University of Memphis?
again, while we are online, this is just crucial. Like I said, I am I favor online in terms of actual learning. Because everything, this is the greatest tip. I'm telling you, everything you need is right in front of you. Put it in the search engine, look at all the ways of looking at it. And when I say all the ways of looking at it, I'm going to conclude on these two skills that are so essential in education that we actually neglect to focus on. And they are two skills that you can put your scholar or the scholar can put on their resume absolutely every time. And if you look at any syllabus, nearly about 99% of syllabus would have this information on there. And that is analytical skills and critical thinking skills. Look at your syllabus. Have your student look at the syllabus. Have anybody, and you're going to see one or both of those words on every syllabus, regardless of what the class or subject is, because those are the most essential skills. Now, let me tell you why they're essential and why we can leave on this note is because the analytical, and we'll start with alphabetical, A comes before critical or C. And analytical skills is basically determining the relationship or connection between two or more things. You remember earlier I talked about the human hand, and how the chair connects, even though chair was an object on chapter 17. How did that come into play? It's because the hand is what created or made the chair or developed the chair or something like that, or fixed the chair, all those kind of things. So, or what it can do and how creative and flexible the hand is. It has so many connections. And that's the essence of a higher education. It are the analytical skills, problem solving skills. Problem solving. You find a problem, you have a solution. Bam. That's why it's essential, that analytical skill. And then critical thinking is so massive, it's ridiculous. Critical thinking skills. It's a game changer in terms of learning. In terms of learning, it's a game changer. What do you mean, Dr. Yancey? I'm talking about critical thinking skills. In essence, is determining the connection, or I'm sorry, determining whether something is right or wrong, good or bad, believable or not believable, true or false. For example, in my class the other day, we talked about, is this pandemic real? It was split down the middle as to what students believed that it was and what students weren't. But regardless, how did you draw that conclusion? You ask questions. So those are so essential. And regardless, I guarantee you, once a scholar start getting into those two skills, mastering those two skills, it takes their interest, it takes their class excitement, it takes their learning to a whole nother level. Guaranteed, because that is one of the reasons we get bored in class, because we don't understand those two skills.
Those are really wonderful points. Thank you so much. And those are not only for while they're here at the university, but those are lifelong skills that all of our students need to know. So yes, well, thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. We really, truly appreciate you taking the time to talk to our parents and to give them all this advice and to help out our students. And thank you so much. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I hope I can do it again if it's needed. We are available 24/7.
Perfect. And we highly encourage that our students take advantage of all of the resources, particularly our tutoring services and everything else that they offer, because that really is just, even if it's a student is You know, even if it's just a little bit, even if they're a B student that wants to be an A student, there's always something there for them to help them out.
Can I close with this one
Of course.
note on this note is that these types of skills strategies and new information is available weekly, and especially when we start off next semester as well. Same thing, 4 different hours, basically 2 different hours on 4 different nights or day. On Mondays and Wednesdays, we have what we call early morning session, about 11 o'clock, 11 to 11:40, 11:45. That's it. The same type of strategy that you would learn something new. I had a senior in my class the other day that said he's been here for these 4 years and did not know or take advantage of these services. And he said he learned more in that session than he did in his 4 years. That was amazing. And he was an engineering student. Okay. Now, and then we have service workshops and seminars on Tuesday and Thursday evening at 7. Again, 7 to 7:45. That's it. Students come in on their own. They can also make appointments on up to meet with me for any type of strategies or any type of tips or any type of assistance. I do everything except your work.
I like that. Those are great. Well, thank you again, Dr. Yancey. And just as a reminder to all of our families out there, next Tuesday, the 17th, is the last day of classes, and exams run November the 18th through the 23rd. So your student might be just a little more stressed out around that time. And just as a reminder as well, because we know particularly for some of our freshman parents and our students out there, those exam times may differ a little bit from their regular class time, particularly if they've been used to having a synchronous class where they're on at the same time. So sometimes those differ a little bit. So highly encourage your student to double check their syllabus or their online system or anything like that to make sure that they are there for that exam and they're getting everything completed in a timely manner and when it's due. So thank you again so much, Dr. Yancey. We truly appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing all of our parents again soon as part of our Tiger Talks. Thank you.
All right.